The following podcast is a presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
Hello, welcome to Staring Into the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach. With me, as always, is Michael Patrick Hicks.
Hello.
Matt Brandenburg.
Hi, everybody.
No high creeps.
I forgot that I kept doing that, so it went away. Maybe it'll come back next week.
Motherfucker. And we have a very special guest, Pat McDonough from Deadhead Reviews.
Hello.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us. This has been like months in the making to get you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Ready for some crazy Stephen King action?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually the first Stephen King story we've covered on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it has to be Children of the Corn, so this is going to be a fun time.
I didn't really want to go with Stephen King, but then all the short stories I'm currently reading, they're either not out yet or they're kind of going to be out. They were recently out, and I don't know who's got what book, so went with Stephen King.
Everyone has Night Shift.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you're a horror reader, you probably have Night Shift somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a hardcover, a paperback, I have it on my Kindle, and I have the Cemetery Dance edition on pre-order.
I think you like this book.
Yeah.
I just buy Stephen King books in hardcover and paperback.
Nice.
Like I have an old paperback of Misery, like from the 80s,
Nice.
and I have a hardcover of Misery. I collect Stephen King.
You want to hear something funny about Misery, just super quick? I had Max Booth on my show recently, and he said that he would like to be the protagonist. He's like, if I could be any character, that's my dream. That's why I wanted to become a writer, just have my legs cut off and write in a cabin all day.
That's the dream. Well, before we dive into Children of the Corn, we like to go over some recommendations of our consumption of last week. And I'm going to get started. I didn't actually get too much in, but I did manage to read Paul Michael Anderson's new novella, Standalone. And this book is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It is a slasher where in this book, the slasher is actually the hero. He's the main character. And in this story, like the least spoiler way I can get into it, this story is there's a multiverse. And in order to keep the multiverse alive, it takes energy. So these men who are slashers, what they do is they take jobs and they get sent to like a location where there's a bunch of teenagers doing dumb shit like an 80s slasher movie. And those teenagers become the victims to become energy to keep the multiverse alive.
So is there like a job board? Like what do they do? They have like a Fitbit type thing. And when it glows green, they press it and like a door opens and they walk through and get transported on the spaceship where they're then given their job order of what they're supposed to do. They're given a weapon and then they just go do their job. Okay. So they're on a spaceship?
Yeah, it's like this weird like space station thing.
So what are they doing when they don't get called?
They're all living in different towns in different multiverse planes of existence.
And are they just doing like normal jobs in these towns until they get
they're doing like normal jobs, and they're kind of have like a pseudonym they live under, and they just try to keep things low key.
All right.
And
I always wonder, and it has stuck with me forever, is like, what's Michael Myers doing when he's not in the movie? It's
The main character is like a construction foreman.
Okay.
And in his plane of existence, you found out this early on, so it's not really a spoiler. In his like plane of existence, he has a wife and a daughter who he loves very much, and he was contacted by this being who pretty much chose him to do this job of a slasher. And if he doesn't do this job, the multiverse will cease to exist. So in order to like protect his family and keep his family alive, he did this job, or he decided to do this job, despite the fact he'd never be able to see his family again in person, knowing that he'd still be able to keep them alive.
Whoa.
The book goes to some crazy places. It's really fun and gets really emotional. And it comes with a bonus short story at the end, which is about a father who, when his daughter gets born, he's contacted by a man who pretty much asks him a deal. And the deal is to take it if he doesn't want his daughter to feel pain, and instead he will feel every bit of pain instead of her. To protect his daughter.
I feel like did we talk about that with him, or did we?
I think we might have talked about it with him.
Okay, because I was like, that sounds really familiar.
Oh, and they're both really good stories, and it comes out. It'll be up by the time this podcast airs, by Max Booth's Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and it is a fantastic novella. Strongly recommended.
I can't wait to read that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
It's very zany and it's lots of fun.
I do like zany.
Yeah, no. Well, you like zany a lot, Matt.
I do.
But Mike, what about you?
Well, you know what? It's right now it is summertime. There are a lot of people that would be going on vacation, but the pandemic is keeping us all housebound.
Yes.
So we're not able to travel anywhere, and which is fine for me, because growing up, all of my vacations as a kid just completely sucked ass. Like,
you too?
I can't remember a good vacation from my childhood. There are good moments, but overall, like the span of that vacation was just terrible. Like my parents, their idea of a vacation was to go to Florida and hit up the shopping malls of Florida, which were the exact same fucking shopping malls that we had at home. We'd go to Chicago. They'd want to hit up every fucking store on Michigan Avenue. It's like, oh, here's a Saks Fifth Avenue. Oh, yeah, because we don't have fucking one of those at home. Here's a new Hudson's. Oh, my God, I've never seen a Hudson's before. We've only got 3 of them in our
Holy
fucking
shit,
neighborhood.
not a Hudson's, dude.
Yeah, oh, my God.
Not a fucking Hudson's.
Yeah. What's a Hudson's? I've never seen this before.
Well, actually, in this day and age, I don't even think a Hudson's exists anymore. No one would know what you're talking about.
I guess they don't, but people from my era know what a Hudson's is or was. So all of my vacations.
Shit, Mike, is that a Woolsworth?
I remember, you know what? Woolsworth was another one. We had a Woolsworth growing up about a mile away from us, and every Sunday we would be at the fucking Woolsworth.
Rich, what was that store that got closed down at the Taunton Mall in the 90s? Was it Bradley's?
Yeah, it was Bradley's.
Wasn't that a big chain?
I think. I don't know. Taunton Mall kind of sucks, dude.
Oh, well, I bring it up because do you guys know what that store is?
No, I've never heard of that before.
I thought it was possibly a national chain. Okay, never mind.
I guess not.
It's a Northeast thing. Or it was just a Northeast thing.
It's not anymore.
So one of the things that I've always wanted to do was have a good vacation. And right now that is impossible to do. So I decided to escape for a little while with some worst laid plans, an anthology of vacation horror that Samantha Kolesnik just released from Grindhouse Press.
Nice.
That's a good segue, Mike.
I thought so, but you guys kind of stepped on it.
I was ready to go further, but I told you fast.
My bad.
No.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna nix this episode, Pat. We're gonna cut you off.
That's fine. That's fair.
It's a wrap.
All right, see you guys. Honey, they're done.
Finally, a short episode. This will be an easy one for me to edit.
Everyone will love it.
But this was a really good anthology. I had a lot of fun with it. You know, my vacations, I never got abducted by cannibals. I never got to swim with man-eating barracudas. There were never serial killers stalking us. So for me, this was a nice escape.
Let me tell you about my summers.
What do you got? What happened to you?
Oh man, so many things.
So I have a fun story that I was writing for Worst Laid Plans, but I didn't able to get to submit it.
Yeah.
It was based on the time where I thought I was going to die when I was living in China. I flew in from Hong Kong to back to Nanjing where I was living, and my plane landed at 11, and the subway's closed, and there's no taxis in the taxi pool. And I'm just like, how am I going to get home? I have work tomorrow. And there's a guy with a fucking Lexus, and he's like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm going here. And he's like, I'll drive you. And I'm like, all right.
Nice.
Because when you're in a foreign country, the best thing to do is trust a random fucking person with a Lexus.
Yeah. It's just a rich man abducting American boys.
Yeah.
And so I hop in his car. We're driving back. And then we're on the highway. And he takes an off turn to some village to pick up his friend. At this point, my anxiety's peaking, and I'm just like, this is how I die. This is it. This is how I die. And the entire time, I'm just going over my head, I'm gonna die. This is it. And then he dropped me off. He's supposed to.
Well,
that's the story.
Okay. Did he have a bumper sticker by any chance that said "honk if you've been saved"?
He did not.
Oh, that's a good reference.
He did have sealed bottles of water in his car, though.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that is because the story opens with a story by S.E. Howard called "You've Been Saved." And I should not have to tell you this, especially you, Rich, in particular. But you should not trust old people in an RV that have the "honk if you've been saved" bumper sticker, just in general. But Howard,
I've read Dr. Sleep, so I don't trust old people with RVs anyway.
That is a wise precaution. And Howard does a really fun twist on this that illustrates exactly why you should not trust those people, particularly if you haven't read Dr. Sleep.
That's a really good story, Mike.
It was. I like that one a lot.
I'm only up to. I just finished Haley Piper's story. I don't know about you, but I tend to pick and I read a story a day, so I haven't read through it as quickly as probably you or most people. But it's a good anthology.
It is. It did take me a little bit longer. It's short. I think it's just under 200 pages, but it did take me pretty much the entire week to get through. I was wrapped up with so many work projects and home projects and family projects that I was only able to manage 1 or 2 stories a day. So it did take me a while. One thing I think you've got to look forward to is V. Castro's The Kukui of Cancun, which
I think Violet's awesome.
She is. This one is a wonderful little bit of vacation splatter punk.
Ooh.
Ooh, nice.
It starts off with, just to give you a taste of where this story is going to go, we meet this Kukui. She is our central protagonist for the story, and she's kind of like a Mexican boogeyman. And she's looking at all the tourists around her with so much disdain, and she's thinking that she wants to nuzzle in their heart chambers and soak in their blood. I want to fill this grubby, over-chlorinated pool with their limbs.
Oh, my God.
So that paragraph introduced her. I was like, oh, fuck yes, this is exactly the story I wanted.
She's got a book with Flame Tree Press coming out. I don't know if it's the same one, but she said she's got another story that is basically the Mexican version of Candyman, and I can't fucking wait for that.
I'm excited for that one.
I've been digging Flame Tree, so I am very excited. I'm very proud and very happy for her that she was able to get this deal, and I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, and I know that the editor in charge, I don't remember the proper title, but Daria, I fucked up his name. Anyways, he made a tweet that he's particularly interested in looking for diverse voices, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
We need more of that.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
Says a podcast with 4 white dudes.
Yeah.
In their 30s. So, Matt, what about you? Any recommendations from last week?
Let's see. I'm still working through Looming Low. I think I've talked about that a lot. It's a great collection or anthology. But I did read and finish the latest Vastarian. It's volume 3, issue 1. And this one has probably been... Now, I've been subscribed to them, I think, since the second issue. I think they do 3 a year, and they're all really great. But this one especially has probably been the best one they've done. Just all the stories are top notch.
We've all gone to the Magic Show. It was so fucking good.
Yes, that one, Todd Kiesling killed it in this weird mannequin magician show thing. But the other one, which I'm looking up right now, The Hollow Songs of Father Prester by S.L. Edwards.
That was my favorite too.
That one, and I sent a little tweet out about it because I don't think he has very many followers, and maybe he's somewhat new, maybe not. But anyway, I like to, when I read a short story, I like to let the author know, hey, this one was really good. But this story, and the tweet was all about, because it's basically like this Weird West story, but very Thomas Ligotti, where bounty hunter, hitman, not really hitman, more bounty hunter, mercenary kind of guy gets called to go to this town. These missionaries say like this town is not even cursed, just it's like a blasphemous town, and the ground is ruined and it's against everything against God. So this guy goes just to check it out, and he discovers this town full of puppets, human-sized puppets, and they all have holes in them. And
this is right up your alley.
Oh, totally. It's so funny. I mean, all the stories in this, Thomas Ligotti and puppets and mannequins, that's like his jam, and it scares me, but I can't help it but read them. But yeah, this one, these mannequins with holes in them, so the wind blows through them, and then there's like this weird centipede mannequin thing that's in this church, and it was brilliant all the way through. It's super good. Like I said, I've been subscribed to Vastarian for a while, and I absolutely love it. But I think they really knocked it out of the park with this one. It's even the first story, talking about my fear of dolls. The first story is all about this like weird sex doll thing, like made in like the 1800s. So it's all clockwork, but it's super disturbing, but it was really good. It is really creepy, and like I don't know, I can't deal with anything that shouldn't be alive moving around. And then
we've mentioned it on our podcast before, but Whiskey and Other Ghosts is worth checking out too by S.L. Edwards, but it's out of print right now, so hopefully the publisher went under, so hopefully he's able to get it back in print.
I saw that, like that was his other collection, and I will want to read that, because it was so well written and creepy, and just I like this because like some of the other issues and stories, they're very, it's much like H.P. Lovecraft mythos. There's a lot that are very deep into that, where people are taking that story and kind of just going with it. And it's the same for this. There's a lot of Thomas Ligotti-esque stories, which are great. I love reading more of that, but it's cool to see somebody do something completely new with it and taking it and putting it in a Western setting, which I think is another area that we've been kind of seeing, but we haven't been seeing a ton of. And I know we've talked about it in the past, but like anytime somebody plays in that field and then is able to make it work with Thomas Ligotti-esque things, is awesome. So I finished that, and I just now started The Boatman's Daughter. I think it's Andy Davidson maybe Andrew Davidson, something like that. That came out earlier this year. So far, pretty good. So yeah, that was my week.
And Pat, what about you?
I'm halfway through the same anthology Michael mentioned, The Worst Laid Plans by Grindhouse Press. I am 70 pages in Ghoul. First time reading that by Brian Keene. Easy, smooth read. And a book that is coming out early in August of 2020 by Wesley Southard and Summer Cannon is Slaves to Gravity. And that's just it's fun. It's real different. It's a very exciting book, and it's short. It's 140 pages.
What's funny is we were just talking about that before.
We were. I just got the arc the other day.
Yeah, I'd be happy to tell the audience about it if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, it's about this. The woman's a protagonist. Her name is nickname's Charlie. She has a head trauma. She wakes up. She's disfigured. Has a wheelchair. Her husband's a great guy and works in construction. He has a big house that allows him to make it as accessible as he can for her. And one night she just finds herself floating. And then that leads to her floating around the house to the point where she doesn't need the wheelchair anymore. She's still hiding it from her husband. Ends up finding some friends that also float. And I think that's about as much as I can say without ruining anything. But it's fun. It's just a fun book. And this is my first time being introduced to both those. I knew who they were before, but I've never read anything fiction-wise by Summer Cannon or Wesley Southard.
I'm a big fan of Summer Cannon. I need to read more Wesley Southard, but Summer Cannon's fantastic.
Resistant Madness by Wesley Southard is a collection that I wanted to read. I haven't gotten to that yet.
I have it, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
That cover drew me in, man.
Yeah, that's the same for me. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I have to have this.
Yeah, I think that's... Does anyone know who did the cover at all?
No. I know it's a Death's Head Press book.
I don't know if it's the same author that does all the Splatterpunk Westerns, which is Justin T. Kuhn. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if he did Wesley's collection, but he's done a lot of Death's Head Press covers.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would make sense because it does look similar to that. But yeah, that cover I was just like, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive into Slaves to Gravity. It's on my list for next week.
Oh, you'll probably kill it in, I don't know, knowing you, probably an hour or two.
Yeah, it's 140 pages. It's an hour read for me. Before we dive in, I will say that I have started Crossroads by Laura Hightower.
Nice.
And it is fucking fantastic so far. It's a short little novella, but it's really heavy, like emotionally heavy. So I have to put it down quite often. I'm like, 2 chapters. Okay, that's good enough for now. Time for a break.
I just kept thinking of my son when I read it, and I was like, well, I don't know what I would do in that situation unless I was in it, but I feel like I do what the protagonist did. I'll leave it at that, but you certainly question your sanity and reality.
It's a really good story about like loss and haunting.
Yes.
And it is the debut novella from Samantha Kolesnik's Headspace Press.
You guys keep saying it funny. It's Kolesnik.
Kolesnik? I've never heard it pronounced before, so
not to be a dick on your guys' own show, but
oh no, I pronounce names wrong all the time, so it's cool.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, otherwise I'd just be like, that one person.
You don't know to pronounce it right till someone corrects you.
That's true.
I think
like Todd Kiesling.
Yeah, Todd Kiesling. Not Kiesling, Kiesling.
Oh, yeah, well, Michael David Wilson pronounced it Kiesling.
I did that too.
Oh, you guys did that too.
When we had Todd on, Todd had to lay down the law and correct.
Yeah, Todd had to whoop my ass. He's like, no, the name's fucking. I'm joking.
Oh man, I missed that episode apparently.
My gosh, that's hilarious.
And then one last thing is I started Burn the Dark by S.A. Hunt. which like the covers of these books drew me in, but it is.
Tor has done a bang up job with those covers. They all look gorgeous.
It is a Tor book. If Nightfire was like putting up books, this is probably a Nightfire book, to be completely honest with you. But it's a mainline Tor book, and it is about a woman named Robin, who is a YouTube celebrity who has a witch hunting series on YouTube. However, people think it's fiction. It's not. And she's going around the country hunting witches to get revenge for what they've done to her and her family.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Now, is that the first one?
That is the first one, yeah.
Okay. I think they've got 3 out right now.
Burn the Dark. There's 3 planned. Well, the third one comes out in September. They all came out this year. Came out 2020. Well, they're all novels, too, so Tor's pushing these things out.
She had originally self-published them, and then her agent landed her a deal with Tor. So they pulled down the self-published ones, and these have been re-edited, revised, and re-released under Tor.
It's Burn the Dark. The second one is I Come With Knives. And the third one is out in September, and it's called The Hellion. And so far, Burn the Dark is a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see where the series goes.
Very cool. Yeah, I've got those in my pile. I got to get to them at some point.
That's kind of it for the week, besides a shitty movie I saw I'm not going to mention. So why don't we go from a shitty movie to a Stephen King short story that turned into a series of shitty movies.
I like the first one.
The first one's great.
The first one's good.
That's the only one I've seen.
Spoilers. If you Children of the Corn was published in 1977, so if you haven't read it, like, fucking read it. Before we even start, why this story, Pat?
Well, you said pick one you like, pick one that influenced you, pick one that I don't know what the third option was. I forgot when you said it too.
I'm like, you like to revisit, like a story you love, a story that influenced or inspired you, or a story that you like to revisit a lot.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I gotta be honest, this is the first time I've ever reread a story, so the whole revisit thing was not on the table for me. But I won't bore you guys with details, but my wife and I, so when I started back with reading, my wife was the one that got me into it by getting me a Kindle, and then I just fell in love with for fiction. It was Stephen King, because I didn't know the horror community existed at the time with independent books, and that was in 2013. It was only within a few months of knowing her, so I picked it up pretty quick from the beginning of our relationship, and then I got Night Shift. That was one of the first books of his I read, and so I was in my early 20s, and a few years after that, her and I, when I think we were married at that point, we went to Lancaster with our dog, and the Children of the Corn story and my trip, which was a fun trip. We went on a buggy, saw Amish country. For the first time, saw a rack of romantic Amish books. Never knew that was a thing. There's a lot of them. But the two stories collided, as any stories take pieces of different things. And for me, it was Children of the Corn. There were parts of it, not the whole story. Parts of Children of the Corn, and my trip to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, formed a novella, 25,000-word novella that's unpublished and might never see the light of day. But it was still part of the initial batch of novels, novellas, and short stories I wrote in the first 5 years that I wanted to become a novelist. And it's a story I like, and that's pretty much why I picked it.
I was gonna say, when you were like the two intersected, I was like, you should have mentioned that vacation.
Yeah, well, what happened with those creepy kids, man?
Yeah.
Well, there was a town that we visited called Intercourse, so I guess I should have threw that in there.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
Was there a 69 Ave?
I wish. I also learned the difference between Amish and Mennonites, which I might butcher it, but basically it's like the Amish don't believe in electricity, and they got different colored roof. They got different buggy everyone's got buggies, but the colors are different. I guess one's for Mennonites, one's for the Amish. I don't know. I don't see why there's different colors, but could be some kind of tribal warfare thing. I don't know.
Oh man, now I want to see a
Mennonites versus Amish.
Holy shit! Me and Mike should
pay-per-view this Friday.
Get Zack Snyder to direct it.
I don't know if he could. No electricity and everything. How would he do?
Well, he's not Amish or Mennonite.
No, but that's it. Crap, I can't make this movie.
So there are loopholes with that, I guess.
Because they have done documentaries on the Amish, so they apparently don't have a problem with other people filming them.
The Amish have Romspringa, where like when someone comes of age, they're allowed to leave the community and experience the worlds, like the modern worlds.
Yeah,
like a year. And then they can make the choice whether to stay or to go back.
Yeah. Do you remember that episode of The X-Files where one of the Amish youth leaves and he is able to change sex? Yeah. So he can shift between being a man and a woman, and he goes on a killing spree?
Yes.
That was a good episode.
Remember that movie Kingpin with Jeff Daniels as the Amish guy who goes on Romspringa? That's a really good movie.
What about Sex Drive?
Sex Drive is not a good movie.
But there are Amish and Rumspringa
There are Amish Rumspringa. So you're right about that.
Do you guys remember Witness with Harrison Ford?
Yes.
Not the movies of Amish.
That was awesome.
That's all I got for the Amish movies.
You know, Jonathan Jans got in trouble with some Amish romance readers.
Did he?
Old Order.
Yeah, he published a story called Old Order. The original publisher, I think it was Sam Hain, had originally published it. And the way they had done the cover, Amish romance readers thought it was one of theirs. So they all bought this book. It had like incredible sales, but then it got bombed with 1-star reviews because all of the Amish romance readers were extraordinarily pissed off and disgusted that
you got horror in my Amish romance.
That's hilarious.
You got Amish romance in my horror.
I guess
Speaking of Amish people and horror, these fucking kids, though, am I right?
Fucking kids, man.
Nice transition.
Good segue.
So, Children of the Corn is... Do we even have to explain Children of the Corn? I think people know this fucking story by now.
I don't think you have to even watch it to know what it is.
Children of the Corn, yeah, you don't even, like... You even know what the movie's about if you're into horror and I haven't even seen the movie.
Creepy kids in a cornfield. It's good.
There you go.
The movie's much better than this short story. You need more. Short story needed more kids.
I was just gonna say, like, you kind of do, because so I read this a long time ago and then remember seeing the movie a lot, and they are, I mean, like, they're pretty different. They definitely took the movie and decided to go in a different direction and put more kids in it.
The novella, or not the novella, the short story, which I'll save some opinions on for the time being, is about Bert and Vicky, who are in a failing marriage, and Bert's a piece of shit, and I fucking hate him. And they're driving across the country. They've left the Pike, and they find this weird, creepy cornfield where a kid jumps out and they hit with his car. And then Bert realizes the kid had his throat slit. So he decides they should bring him to the town because they don't want to get in trouble. So then they go to the town, which is Gatlin, which any Stephen King fan, Gatlin is where Mother Abigail is from in the Stand.
Oh, very nice.
So there's a connection there. And they go to Gatlin, and the town's empty.
So are you saying Mother Abigail was once a child of the corn?
Maybe. But Stephen King kind of writes in a multiverse, so like...
That's true.
I think he just liked a couple town names and just used them a bunch.
Yeah, he probably forgot.
But Mother Abigail's from Nebraska, I thought.
I mean,
I don't remember.
I thought so.
I've got
I'll have to
a couple thousand books between me and The Stand now. So.
Yeah, I gotta reread The Stand to get that clear. I remember her being from Gatlin, but they go to town and nobody's there, and Bert is trying to figure out what's going on, and he comes across like the church and this Bible that has the New Testament ripped out of it. And he starts looking through it, and he sees like birth dates and death dates, and he realizes that like no one in the town above the age of 19 is alive. And then the children attack.
So this is when it starts taking some leaps.
A lot of leaps.
He first of all, he sees that he does the age thing, and he's like, oh, they're all 19. And then so he instantly jumps to something happened to the children, which I was like, I don't know if I would have made that first leap. I would have figured a 19, but I don't really think of a 19-year-old as a child. And then he instantly leaps to, well, they killed everybody and they changed their names. And I was like, how did you get there? There's no he doesn't find blood anywhere. He doesn't find anything to kind of say like, oh, maybe something bad happened here. He just, yes, creepy stuff is there. This church and there's like a Jesus.
I forgot to say he learns about he who walks among the rows.
Yes. And,
which is a fictional religion I follow devotedly.
Yeah. Oh, totally. So just to make this leap and assume that these kids killed a bunch of people was a pretty high leap to make. Now, obviously, once he gets out of church and he sees the kids attack the car, that's fair. That's a clear thing. But before that, I don't think my first reaction would have been like, oh, these 19-year-old children killed a bunch of adults. It's like,
I don't know. I mean, if I came across an abandoned town in the middle of a cornfield, my first instinct is the children killed everyone. I don't see it as being a big lapse in logic. I mean, it just seems like a natural conclusion.
Fucking kids murdering people.
Yeah.
It's like in that one movie I saw.
Was it the movie Children of the Corn?
Yeah.
Which is a much better movie than this is a short story.
Certainly. I'm glad to bring it to the table.
No, I mean, honestly, when I first read this story 10 years ago, I loved it. I thought it was one of my favorite stories in Night Shift. And revisiting it, I was like, huh. This is a lot different than I remember it being. Maybe I was confusing my love for the movie.
Maybe.
With this story, but because I did see the movie at a very early age too.
I have never seen the movie, but I know Mark Hamill is in it. Does he play Bert?
Mark Hamill?
Yeah, isn't Mark Hamill in it?
No.
No.
He isn't?
Linda Hamilton's in it.
Oh, maybe that's who it is.
Both the last names do start with H. So
I got to go into IMDb. I don't know what I'm thinking of.
Linda Hamilton. I just checked.
Yeah, no Mark Hamill.
Well, what was Mark Hamill in?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
He was in
Batman.
Dead Zone TV show.
No, that was the guy from Breakfast Club.
Anthony
no,
Michael Hall.
the Dead Zone TV show Mark Hamill was in.
No, that was Anthony Michael Hall.
Did Mark Hamill play a bad guy in it?
I think.
No, that's impossible.
I'm IMDbing now because I feel like we have a Mandela effect going on.
Why did I think Mark Hamill was in this movie?
Because you're crazy.
I mean, yeah, I guess that can't be taken off the table.
I think you helped multiverses, Mike.
I might have.
Maybe.
But the whole time, my point is, the whole time I was reading this, I was like, this would have been a much better role for Jack Nicholson than The Shining.
Yeah. I forgot Mark Hamill was in The Guyver. That was something.
Why did I think he was in this?
Why do they call it a multiverse? I understand what it is, but do we even understand how big a universe is? One of them. Why don't we just stick to galaxies? Those are so goddamn big too.
A multiverse is just parallel worlds.
I know that, but why don't we just
parallel galaxies?
All right, I guess it doesn't have good of a ring to it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you have multiple universes, it would tend to follow that you have multiple galaxies also.
That's true.
And
smart son of a bitch.
You've broken it. Maybe.
Yeah, sorry, I just put more than 2 seconds of thought into that.
I think I just got burned.
It happens to the best of us.
Okay, so Mark Hamill was in the Flash TV show. I remember that.
Let's talk about Mark Hamill. He did a great Joker.
This is now a Mark Hamill podcast.
He was a fantastic Joker.
I agree with that. He was
him
one of the best
and Heath Ledger, the top two Jokers for me.
Yeah, I could see that.
What was Mark Hamill a Joker in? Was it the television show?
Yeah, the animated.
Yeah, the Batman cartoon, the animated series.
Oh, the one from the 90s?
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy shit! How did I know that? I used to watch that shit religiously.
It's and every once in a while I'm trying to think what else I've seen him in. He'll do either he was in he does a lot of voice work, but he was in something, and everyone every once in a while he'll do his laugh, and you'll definitely be like, oh yeah, he was the Joker.
Oh, you know what? Village of the Damned. I was getting them mixed up.
Is Mark Hamill in
Honestly,
Village of the Damned?
That's an easy mix-up.
I mean, it's sort of the same. Was he in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, did you guys know that?
And so was Christopher Reeve. Holy shit! Look at that.
Speaking of revelations, I just saw that Jor Lansdale's one of the writers of the Batman animated series. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Didn't know that either.
Yeah.
No,
and he wrote Jonah Hex, the comic book series. He was on there for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a couple. He did. I think he did a couple of the crossovers with Jonah Hex in it, and then I think he was the one that created the ventriloquist dummy mobster guy. I think that was Joe Lansdale.
Is that your favorite, Matt?
That was no. Oh man,
what though? This story needed some dummies. You get some dummies in the cornfields.
Not just dummies talking about the story.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised. I mean, you would think they would do that with the mannequins. I mean, I feel like this one. So,
I hope you guys appreciate me scrolling through like 30 years of Mark Hamill's film history. By the way,
I did the same thing, Mike. So
he's done a lot. He's quite active. But I keep getting this
he's done more horror movies than I realized. He was also in Sleepwalkers. Body Bags, the TV version of Body Bags.
Well, that doesn't count.
Hooperman? Do you guys remember Hooperman?
No.
I don't remember that one either.
That must have been one of those weird one-time shows.
Yeah, it looks like it was a TV episode. They only did the pilot in 1989.
That's why I don't remember it.
Yeah. Holy shit, John Ritter. Oh, no, apparently this was like a long-running thing. John Ritter was in it. It went for 42 episodes, apparently.
Did you guys watch the new I didn't watch it. Did you watch the new Child's Play with Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky?
Not yet.
I don't know. Brad Dourif should just always be Chucky.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's going to be doing the TV show.
Yeah.
If you look at the new movie as not Chucky, it's okay. It's fun, but it's not like what you'd expect from the Brad Dourif Chucky.
Well, and because that was a whole thing because I think it was, I don't know if it was Universal or whoever it was that made it. They basically stole it from Don Mancini, and so there was a big battle, and that's why the
lawsuit that was happening, and that's why there's two.
Yeah, and so he was not happy about it.
So now we have a Child's Play multiverse.
You kind of do,
just like the Stephen King multiverse.
Yes.
It's kind of like Hellraiser. If Doug Bradley's not Pinhead, which he hasn't been in 2 of them, I think, I'm just not interested.
They don't count.
No Hellraiser after the 3rd movie, even after the 2nd movie even counts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's your opinion.
No, it's a fact.
It is your opinion, man.
It is a fact.
All right, dude.
Just like Children of the Corn. The best movie is Children of the Corn 3. And you can't deny it.
Well, I haven't seen it. Why is that?
Because it's fucking ridiculous.
Is it like a splatterfest?
Kind of. They go
to Detroit.
Yeah, they go to Detroit and they start a corn growing operation in a warehouse to summon He Who Walks Among the Rows. and Charlize Theron's in it.
Oh, nice. I might be on board for that.
Oh,
it is that shit insane.
Maybe I would have rented it.
Mike and Matt, do you two live near Detroit, or is it far for you guys?
I am closer than Matt is.
Yeah.
How close are you?
Like 30 miles.
Oh, so that's like from where Rich and I grew up, which I don't know if you two knew this, but we grew up literally the town over, and we share a childhood friend with each other. I met him. Yeah, we met each other a year ago, which thank you, horror community. Weird life, but Boston's 30 minutes from our hometown, so
that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Boston's where I live now, so
yeah.
Okay, well, apparently Charlize Theron didn't even have a speaking role in Children of the Corn 3. So how much is she really in this?
She has a couple. You can see her in a couple scenes.
Is she a victim? Does she get killed off right away?
Yeah, she's a victim.
Yeah.
She plays the corn.
She's he who walks among the rows.
That would be a good twist.
She's like
I would
Cornstalk 3 and Row 2.
I would adopt that religion if Charlize Theron were.
Well, they would have to kill you.
You know what? I'll die for Charlize Theron.
Have you guys seen The Old Guard?
Not yet.
Is that the thing awesome. Jonathan Jans wrote?
No. It's a new movie with Charlize Theron in it. This is now a Charlize Theron fan cast.
I'm only kidding.
Did you guys see Atomic Blonde?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but that looks really good.
Do you guys remember her in Mad Max Fury Road?
Do you remember her in was it Reindeer Games?
Oh yeah, Reindeer Games. That's an underrated movie, I think. The director's cut.
I agree.
That's one of Ben Affleck's earlier roles. That in Mallrats?
Yeah, I remember Mallrats. Chasing Amy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember Phantoms?
Phantoms was the bomb, yo!
So in Children of the Corn, I like when they reference the cop.
Yeah. I think this is the furthest we've ever fallen off the rails in a podcast.
You guys have sucked up my stupid.
All right, so let's get back to Korn. And not the new metal band Korn, but the actual Korn in Children of the Corn.
They would be pretty good for a soundtrack in the 7th movie or whatever they're on now.
Whatever. Fuck them.
The movies or the Korn?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so after the Bert makes a leaps in logic about the kids killing everybody, the kids attack.
Put on the cob or off the cob?
Oh, on the cob. Only way to eat corn.
Or cob guy.
With some butter.
Yeah, salt, pepper.
Yep.
Do you remember the movie Secret Window with Johnny
Depp?
He eats a lot of corn at the end of that movie too.
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
You guys need to.
Stephen King has a thing for corn.
He does, so. Because that's where he buries his wife's body, is under a patch of corn.
Yeah, he does.
So I remember one good vacation I had in Chicago after I moved out of my parents' house many ages ago.
Did you go visit corn?
My buddies and I went to Chicago, and we ate at the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company, and they served corn on the cob, and they had it buttered, of course, because they're not savages. But they also put like chili powder on the corn, so it was like a spicy corn on the cob. It was really good.
I'd like to try that.
I got to do that more at home. Next time we have some corn on the cob, I think I'm going to do that.
Note to self.
Yeah.
You guys should invest in a pig because they're great to give the cob to when you're done eating the corn kernels.
Oh, see, I've only been feeding my pig people. But that's good to know.
I think we lost Rich.
He's eating corn now.
Oh, shit. Did we actually lose him?
No,
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Hey, we were just going to ask, what are your thoughts on popcorn?
I fucking love popcorn, dude.
The movie or the food?
Wait,
Yes.
is there a movie Popcorn? God damn it, I got to go back on IMDb. What the fuck is this?
I think it's like an anthology thing from the 80s.
Wait, there's a movie called Popcorn?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. What is this?
I remember the VHS cover. It's like half skeleton woman sitting at a movie theater eating popcorn.
What was the year? Because we've got multiple films called Popcorn.
Whatever in the 80s.
Well, there's a 1991. The cover is a woman pulling her face off.
That's the one. I've seen that too.
Okay.
It's got 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
yeah, there's
good.
Also a Popcorn from 2007 that looks like a comedy.
Screw that one. That one's stupid.
I've never even heard of any of the people in this movie. There's a Popcorn from 2016.
People are kind of like, what the hell?
I think that's a Bollywood movie. It kind of looks Bollywood-ish.
That's not the one I'm talking about.
Oh, Bollywood's fun, though.
There's a Popcorn from 1969.
No, not that one either.
There's a Popcorn TV series in 2015. Never heard of this one either.
Maybe that one.
Oh, that might have been in Australia. I don't know what this thing is.
That could be it.
It's apparently set in Perth. Oh, yeah, it's an Australia thing.
And surprisingly, they do not eat popcorn in that movie.
Never made it here.
Show.
Why is that?
Because they don't know what popcorn is.
In 1991, they didn't know what popcorn was?
That's the whole point of the movie. Is it's actually quite...
I'm actually unfamiliar. What do you like? Throw corn on a fire and then watch it pop, or
it's when you sacrifice people to He Who Walks Among the Rows,
which I actually liked more in the movie than the description in the book in the short story.
In the movie, wasn't it like a dragon?
I thought it was like
kind of like a shadowy like.
I thought it was made of husks.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the story is like you don't really see him much in the story. I will say one thing I do like about the story is after the kids kidnap Lisa and they crucify her and shove corn husks in her eye sockets.
Yeah.
When Bert sees her body and like the kids fail to sacrifice Bert, so he becomes a victim of He Who Walks Among the Rows. The kids have let He Who Walks Among the Rows down. Yeah. And they had to change the sacrificial age to 18.
Yes.
And then they kill one of the kids to sacrifice him, and it's like the corn was happy.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good end.
That was neat. I like how it describes basically how the corn stalks are whispering voices, and in the very beginning when they picked up opened the suitcase at the ran over kid. How do you say that? Run over? The kid that was run over. Yeah, how he had a little crucifix made of corn husks, and the descriptions in that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I liked a lot of the imagery that's scattered throughout here about what they've done with the corn. I like the abandoned organ in the church.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
and
the whole neat.
There can't be any music on the music is only voices.
Yes. Yeah. But having Vicky all crucified, that was a really cool image.
Yeah. My main issue with the story is like he has some good world building in here, but it's like 5 pages of actual story. And like a 35-page story.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, if you didn't like know what you were reading, like I don't know, somehow you found this story without the title and you were reading it, the first 10 pages of the story, you'd be like, what am I reading? I'm reading this drama. And then suddenly it's like corn and children. And I'm just like, if I didn't know what this was, I would have been really confused and not sure.
I think it would have made a really good novella.
Yes.
Like, I think if he expanded on like the religion of these kids and the town and
which they do in the movie.
Yeah, that's why the movie works better, I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't it start out with the kids all getting together, just killing all the parents and the adults?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good movies back then. I think that's pretty well known by everyone. But
actually, when I finished reading Children of the Corn, the first thing I did was I went on Facebook and I just typed in, how did Children of the Corn become a movie franchise? Like that was my response to this story. It was just, how did Children of the Corn become a movie franchise?
It does seem kind of one note to have spawned so many films.
Yeah.
Like even spawning one film is like,
well,
better stories in Night Shift.
I mean, they made half of them into a movie at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
All of these have been something at some point.
Did you get Toy Soldiers into a movie? That's like my favorite one.
Which one?
The one with the toy soldiers, Battleground?
No, I think they did it as a short for Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Didn't they do
they
did
for
a little bit?
Yeah. That's a good one.
The other story in this anthology I was thinking about was Trucks, because that was a really cool story.
If we did Trucks, we could have then talked about Maximum Overdrive.
Which is one of my favorite movies.
Yours too, Matt? Because I fucking love that movie.
I have.
It is a coked out mess, and I'm there for every second of it.
I keep trying to I was thinking about this. I think that was one of my first big introductions to Stephen King was Maximum Overdrive when that first came out. So I was probably 7, and I just loved the trucks.
That goblin truck?
Yes, and everything about it.
The kid who gets run over by the steamroller.
God, yes. So
the AC/DC cameo in the beginning.
Oh, I loved it. Oh,
the whole soundtrack is just AC/DC.
Killing it. Absolutely killing it. It just...
The truck with the Green Goblin mask on it.
Yes. And
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah. Martin Short's brother's in it.
Yeah. I love that movie. The movie is it's not a good movie, but it's a lot of fun.
You shut your mouth. It is a great movie. You don't understand how awesome it is.
Oh, it is tons of fun. It's a blast every time.
It doesn't make sense. The introduction and then the end, the intro slide and the ending slide, they don't line up. So it just, the math isn't there, but it's all good.
King even admitted he was just doing so much coke during that time. It kind of shows. The one thing I would have to say with Children of the Corn reading is and to bring it back to talking about vacations, don't go to Nebraska.
Yeah, yes. There was one time we went to Nebraska. That's how I became an orphan.
Seems like you kind of skipped over a few things in that story.
Yada, yada, yada.
No big whoop.
I'm an orphan.
Stephen King and vacations were always tied together because I would always be reading those books, any of his books, whenever we were in the car driving somewhere. And so I haven't read, besides On Writing, I think the last Stephen King book I read was Dark Tower 7 when that first came out. So that was 15 years ago.
How about that?
So it's been a long time since I've read any of his stuff. And so rereading this, did feel a lot kind of slipping back into that, transporting back to that age. And he just, however people feel on his writing, especially now, it's been kind of shaky, I know. But
you shut your mouth. Post 2010 Stephen King is one of the best phases of his career.
I've heard mixed comments.
Revival is the best book he's written, and I will die on that hill. Revival is the best Stephen King.
Wait, are you making a joke? Because I've heard.
No, I'm being serious. Revival is honestly my favorite.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I've heard a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the reviewers that I trust, all of them have loved Revival. I know Rich here, Edward Lorne, our pal Edward Lorne, loves Revival.
Yep.
It's one that I have not read yet. There are a handful of King books that I haven't read. Night Shift, unfortunately, is one of them. So this was my first run through with Children of the Corn. I dug it. It felt very vintage King to me. Like Matt said, it was going back to King. Yeah, it's going, and it makes sense because it is 70s fucking King.
Yeah,
I haven't read it, so I don't know.
I will say with Children of the Corn.
Wait, you haven't read Revival or Children of the Corn?
No, I've read Children of the Corn twice. I finished that for a second time this morning, but Revival, I've not read that yet.
Okay.
Yes, Rich said one of the things I must do is actually read the story we're talking about.
Yeah, that wasn't one of the three things he mentioned, was it? He didn't say it was a story you actually had to have read.
I was like, what the fuck? I have to actually read?
Yeah.
What do you mean a book? What is that?
Yeah, one thing I will say is, like, Children of the Corn and a lot of the stuff in Night Shift, Stephen King would never write now. Like, some of these stories are pretty batshit insane, and there's something about, like, 70s King who just gives no fucks that, like, I kind of love.
Yeah.
Because, like, these stories in Night Shift, like Lawnmower Man is really fucked up.
Yeah.
It's weird.
He would never write that stuff now.
Well, he was a much younger author then, too. You know, you're kind of at that point where you have so much creative energy and all of these new ideas running around that I think you have a more open sandbox than you do after you've been writing 50, 60 years.
They go places, man.
No one would want to read a story by him about a man eating grass behind the lawnmower.
You forgot that he's naked while he does it too, Matt.
Which, how they made a movie that had nothing to do with that is
they made
beyond me.
A sequel to that movie too,
and a video game that was nothing to do with that story, just the same title.
Oh man, but no, like, what's one thing I really like about, like, Night Shift and, like, early King is there's just this, like, rawness to it that he doesn't have anymore. But that's also because he's a much more refined writer. And I think he was also, like, in his 30s when he was writing this stuff, and now he's, like, not anymore. So a lot of it comes with age and maturity and refinement, but there's just, like, I don't know, there's just this, like, refreshing energy with these stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tempted. I want to go back and read this whole collection. And I might shirk some of my reviewing duties and dive into this one because it's one of the few that I haven't read of his yet, and I want to get caught up a bit.
Yeah, it's good. There's a lot of good ones in it.
Yeah, there's better stories in here than the one I picked.
Well, but I think this was a good one because it is probably the most famous movie book.
Yeah, it's the most famous one of this collection.
I mean, I could argue The Mangler, but I think Children of the Corn. So, like, I think it's a good one for people who maybe have only read later King to, like, hear about and to know, like, this is him exploring something. Because, yeah, the movie focuses a lot more. I mean, like, you get a little bit of Malachi and Job in the book, but you don't get that whole power struggle that you see in the movie. So, like, there's just a lot more happens in the movie than this one.
I also love the end of the story where it's like, be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, that's telling kids to fuck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I thought so. I was just,
I mean,
just had to make sure. Clarifying question.
To their
These kids
credit,
are fucking, right?
They're at least more age appropriate than in It.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's weird. Max and me and Brendan were talking about that this week. Hey, call it Max. I feel like you should be part of it.
Yeah. Hey, Max.
The fact that they run train on Bev.
Yeah, that's specifically what Max brought up, and he asked what it was doing. And I was going to say something. Maybe he's in the corner doing naughty things, but then I thought, hey, that will get you into trouble. You say that. So I didn't say it on my show. They'll say it on yours, I guess.
Sweet. We're going to get canceled now. Thanks, Pat.
I go by Scott Kemper, so I don't know who got it.
But one thing I will say is I think the story and the movie as well, the movie more than this short story, I think he has some interesting ideas where, like, he's trying to tackle, like, a broken marriage and kind of what seems like an abusive relationship in many ways.
Definitely.
Yeah. Bert is not a good man at all.
No, not at all. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I do think, like, he's trying to address, like, this, but he doesn't fully get there. And he also is trying to address, like, religious fundamentalism. And he also doesn't, like, quite get there, but he has some interesting seeds that could have been developed into, I'd argue, something more compelling than what he ended up doing with it.
I think maybe they should make a movie of it. They could kind of
they should. Well, we're doing a remake of Children of the Corn, by the way.
Are they?
They are.
Is Blumhouse doing it?
I have no idea who's doing it. I know they're planning a remake of Children of the Corn. There's already one remake of Children of the Corn for the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, I'm sure that's a blockbuster winner there.
So they're working on another remake now. There's like 11 Children of the Corn movies.
Now, I do have a question here, and I want your guys' opinion on this. There is a point in the story where Bert is running after they've kidnapped his wife. He's running through the corn, and he's in hiding.
Let's see.
And he's talking about, he's feeling better than he has in years.
Yeah.
He's feeling revitalized. Do you guys think that there was some sort of healing property to the corn that was kind of having some kind of effect on him, or is he just adrenalized?
I think it's taco, because I think you were bringing up like the stuff that he was trying to cover in abusive marriage and religious fundamentalism. I think he's also trying very vaguely to cover PTSD, because they make references to the war and dealing with Bert was a medic in the war, in Vietnam War, and he had his sergeant showed him how to kill somebody with slicing their throat. I think he was feeling like he was doing what he did in the war, and I think he didn't go too deep in it, but there's just a couple of lines that I think are kind of pointing to that, PTSD. He's living this crappy marriage and kind of boring life, and this is the first action he's had since the war, and I think that might be part of it, is he's remembering, and that's why he's feeling better, because he's actually doing something other than just sitting around.
So being in the corn was like being back in the jungles of Vietnam.
Yeah. Running, and he's stabbed, so he's bleeding. So he's kind of got this adrenaline rush of back in the war. So.
Okay. So it was not magic corn.
A much more intelligent answer than anything I had, Matt. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that is. That's my thought. It's magic corn. I get it. That's why these kids are worshiping.
I mean, maybe I'm giving him a lot of credit, but I did notice that there's just a couple lines. He doesn't go into any detail. It just talks about those 3 or 4 parts, and then that was my interpretation, was he's finally getting.
That's a really intelligent interpretation. I feel like a complete ass.
I was gonna say that I think it's because of the adrenaline he had pumping through him, and because I noticed the themes of abusive relationships early on. And the fact that he was just fucking done, I kind of saw them taking his wife as a weight off of his shoulders as well.
Yeah, he's free now. He doesn't have to deal with her.
That's how I took it.
I think both of those are extraordinarily credible. Thank you for those. I think it's a lot better than my magic corn theory. I was oh,
every once in a while. I will say though, Stephen King in this story has some seeds of really great ideas he's planted, but they haven't grown to the corn husks.
Yeah. Planting seeds, children of the corn. I get it.
One thing a podcast I was listening to when they were talking about Maximum Overdrive, and I think they brought up a good point, and he likes to retell his own stories. Mm-hmm. So maybe I can't think of if he's done another one similar to this, but maybe he does cover some of those things in another story. But
I haven't read it yet, but I was wondering what kind of parallels there are between this and In the Tall Grass.
Yeah,
because it kind of seems like they're of a similar nature.
I'd say In the Tall Grass deals with the religion, but it's more of a weird fiction story than this is.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Tall Grass is kind of cosmic-y and weird, and there's a really fucked up scene in the Tall Grass that is yikes. Yeah, in the Tall Grass is probably one of my favorite Stephen King endings, but it makes you squirm a bit.
I mean, you could argue this one is cosmic and weird. I mean, you got this thing that's walking behind the rose.
And he walks among the rose.
This whole weird kid thing happening, and
just fundamental cult where they're sacrificing.
It's like, what did happen in 1964 that made them all change?
Yeah, that is a curiosity. Like, why did all of these kids band together and wipe out everyone? Like, what?
Stephen King, listen, this is us telling you to write a prequel novella.
Yes. We know you listen because what else are you doing?
The events of 64.
Yeah. The parents of the corn.
I just love like the crazy, I mean, especially now in like 2020, and to read this and then their comments about like cost of gas and the cost of like food and everything.
It was like 20 cents a burger.
38 cents in 4 years.
Yes.
Gas just dropped here to like $1.94, and I was like, gas has never been $1.94 since I had my fucking license.
Right.
So I had to laugh about that. I was like, oh man, that did not come. That's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
I will say, as much shit as I give this story, like, it is a fun story to read. And like, there's just something like fun about 70s King that he doesn't have in his work anymore. I don't think he says as like fun as he was back in the 70s. There's a lot of fun in these stories.
Didn't he drink a lot back then?
They're weird and they're fun.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I mean, he was drinking. He was a cokehead.
Yeah,
he didn't have.
He wasn't an alcoholic when he wrote the story. So, like, he started drinking after he finished Salem's Lot, and so he was like a full-blown alcoholic by the time he wrote this one.
You know what's funny is there's a story in this called Jerusalem's Lot.
Yes,
that's a tie to Salem's Lot, actually.
Is it?
Yep.
Salem's Lot's a nickname for Jerusalem's Lot. If you notice how it's written,
the apostrophe in front of Salem.
Yeah, but isn't this one about like giant worms?
Yeah, but it's still in the same town.
Wait, what? I thought it was about vampires.
Salem's Lot is. Jerusalem's Lot is like.
Jerusalem's Lot's a bit different, but it's the same town.
Is it?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's also near Derry.
I just thought he was.
So this town has had worms and vampires.
Can I tell you guys a fun Stephen King fact?
Sure.
It has nothing to do with Stephen King and more to do with my life. When I first started reading
Not really interested then.
When I first started reading Stephen King, I noticed a lot of the stories took place in Derry. And I didn't connect the dots. It was Derry, Maine. And I had family who lived in Derry, New Hampshire. So I was like, what the fuck's happening in Derry?
Did you look in all the sewer grates when you were there?
Yes.
I don't know. I remember reading that and the same for like I said, Lawnmower Man, but I'm like, this is him just playing with the same titles over and over.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just having fun with this collection and drinking a lot and snorting a lot.
Now, Gray Matter is in Night Shift. Is that the one that they did for Creep Show?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And the short story is much better than the Creep Show adaptation.
Yeah, I want to check that out. And sometimes they come back. I remember I loved that movie as a kid.
Yeah, that was
I remember watching it.
That was a fun movie.
Mallerman's adaptation is really good in Creep Show.
Yeah,
that was. I liked that one a lot.
Then John skips the hand or the finger or whatever.
Yes, that was my favorite.
I had a lot of issues with the new Creep Show. It wasn't Creep Show. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, you don't got Romero or Stephen King or Tom Savini in it.
Yeah,
but it's more than just that. Like Creep Show, even though like the first two Creep Shows dealt a lot with like Stephen King and Romero. Oh, Romero didn't even direct the second one, only the first one. But like there was this kind of like fun meanness about Creep Show. Like the stories were fun, but they were still like mean. You know what I mean? They had teeth.
Yeah.
And this new version, it wasn't really fun nor mean.
I think there were
a couple of them were. Like I think the closest it came to the original was the Man in the Suitcase episode.
Yeah.
I think that was the most Creep Show the show got, in my opinion.
The one that I really liked was in the season finale, not the Joe Hill one, not the Lake Champlain, but the one about the worms, like the fat-eating worms.
That That one felt like Creepshow too.
Yeah, that one was really good.
I also like the Trick or Treater one, but that one didn't feel like Creepshow. But I did like that one still.
Yeah.
I never finished a show, so
yeah, it was kind of hit or miss. I don't have Shudder anymore, so I won't be able to watch season 2. Curious to see what you guys think of it.
Yeah, I bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I paid for a year for Shudder, so I'm good to like next February.
Yeah,
but back to Children of the Corn with Malachi and Job.
Yes.
Oh, do we still have more to cover?
No, I think we're done. Okay. I was just going to say, do you think we should get more Malachi or Job, or do you think they've run their course through the 11 movies that we've got?
Are they still in all the movies?
I have no idea. I stopped after 3. I was like Urban Harvest. I'm like, I'm done.
Are they? Because I thought Malachi dies in the movie.
Does evil ever die, though?
I guess that's true.
That's deep.
Do the Amish ever die?
No.
But
they'll get fucking pissed if Jonathan Jans tricks them to buy their book.
Well, it's a Kindle release now. They don't have Kindles.
So the Amish won't be able to read it anyway.
How the fuck did they leave a review?
No, it wasn't the Amish. It was Amish romance readers.
Oh, okay. So I don't get it. What do they like? Kind of want to be Amish, but they're good with just reading about it.
They want to enjoy the electricity. They just want to see Amish people fucking.
Yeah, like it's a kink. Like there's different types of like romance and erotica, and some people really enjoy Amish erotica and Amish romance. And
some people like leather and bondage. Other people like Amish. They like the beards and the hat. The hat, I think, is probably the big turn on.
Yeah,
I just want to hold on to the beard while they're getting rammed. Maybe I don't know.
Have you guys seen an Amish doll, Matt?
And I maybe.
It has no facial features. It's pretty creepy.
Are they the like?
You're talking about like a doll the Amish make.
Yeah.
Not like Amish Barbie or something.
Is that a thing?
It should be if it isn't.
Okay. Good point. Good question. I'm asking about the dolls the Amish make and sell, say, a Amish market.
Are they? They're the cloth ones, right? Maybe.
I don't know what they're made of. I just know that they have no facial features, and it's pretty weird to me. Creepy.
I think I've seen them, and if I'm remembering correctly, they're very cloth. They're not like hard. They're soft, like stuffed things.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I always have this theory about them, and I'm like, well, they can't have any muscle, so they can't really move very fast, and they're soft. So I think I would be able to take a couple of them on before they overwhelmed me.
But you think like a regular doll has good muscle structure?
Well, so logically, I tell myself no. I'm like they don't have very good movement, and those plastic things can't. I'm like, yeah. But the irrational part of me is like they figured out a way. They know, and yeah, they could.
Okay. Well, they are rag dolls. I just looked them up, and I was curious as to why they don't have faces. There is a reason they do not have faces.
Oh.
So tell us this reason, Mike.
It is to emphasize the fact that all are alike in the eyes of God.
No, that makes sense.
Oh, that's deep.
Sounds like a cult.
I mean, it sounds like religion, dude.
Well, it does. And
I mean, religions are cults, so they're all cults.
No, not at all. We're not implying that.
Oh, I am.
Wink.
Wink. Winky face.
Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
So overall, Children of the Corn, what do you guys rate it out of 5? Let's say
2.
Wow. See, I would give it a solid 3.5.
Same.
I think out of this collection, I would lean towards Graveyard Shift or The Mangler, but
those are. I love Graveyard Shift.
Man, that is coming out in Blu-ray, or it is already out. And if you want to see giant rats,
yeah, it's a really good story.
Oh, that one is awesome.
And that one has a lot to say about like working class and like stuff like that too.
Yes,
there's a blue collar aspect to that one.
It's pretty amazing. And I just like all the weird machinery, and like there's naked rats.
You like the in the mangle, you like the satanic press.
Yes. Did you ever see the movie?
I did see the movie
where the machine comes
Robert
to life
Englund?
and runs.
It's so silly.
Is it good?
Oh, it's bad,
fun,
but it's so much fun. Robert Englund's in it. He plays this crazy guy with the leg braces, and like the machine comes alive. And I think it's the same in the story too. The machine comes alive because somebody like spills like certain medicine on it, and somehow the medicine makes the machine evil, and then it just flattens people. And the movie's great because it like you see the people get all squished, and it's just like these like flesh suits laying on it, and there's all this blood. And at one point, this guy, the main guy, finds like there's a refrigerator in like somebody's yard, and it comes to life, and it's like killing a bird, and it tries to eat him, and he's all going crazy trying to smash it. It's so ridiculous. So again, Stephen King rewriting stuff, because I mean Maximum Overdrive is about the same concept. So
yeah. So you give this one, Matt?
I would give. Sorry, that was my tangent. I would give this one 3.5.
For the first time, I'm the outlier.
Yes.
I just looked up a picture of the Mangler, and it's a factory woman holding on to another woman's pair of legs as the rest of her is being crushed by the Mangler.
Yes.
Yep.
It is pretty darn amazing. It's
a lot of fun.
Patrick, did we get a rating from you out of Children of the Corn?
Yeah, I actually agree with you. It's 3 to 3.5 for me.
Okay, all right. Now, as much as I love Matt's description of the corn and the PTSD, I think if it had been magic corn, for me, it probably would have gone up to a 4.
If it had magic corn for me, it would have been a 3.5.
Yeah.
I could give you the magic corn because there's no weeds and there's no bugs.
I would have liked to seen psychedelic corn myself.
Yeah. So I think if he ever does go back to this and somehow does a prequel, we could do the magic corn route.
What do you think they do with all the corn?
I mean,
that's a good question.
They make crucifixes.
But that's a lot of corn.
Crucifix out of the cobs.
Yeah, they make crucifixes out of the corn husks and they shove it into dead people's eyes.
But they talk about seeing just like for as far as the eye can see rows of corn.
Yeah.
What do they do with
home
them?
for he who walks among the rows?
So does the corn live forever?
I would imagine.
I'd imagine so.
Can they eat it, or is it like the God's babies?
But I don't think they go into I don't think they go into the corn much though, because like
I think you've been talking to Max Booth too much.
He's implanted weird seeds within me, if you know what I'm saying.
I see what you did there.
I see, yeah. Let's go, man. I think the corn is just the home for he who walks among the rows, because the kids don't seem to go in the corn, especially at nighttime. Well, because he who walks among the rows lives there.
So they have a curfew.
For corn.
Because remember, like Bert gets killed at nighttime.
He does.
And he who walks among the rows killed him because the children failed to.
Oh.
And they've displeased him.
So they have to kill him in the day.
Yeah. And make them as sacrifices to feed him.
Why do you think that is? Do you think there's a reason for the temporality of it?
God.
Just cause?
Just God.
Okay. So the usual
big G, the
religious
big G up in the sky. Yeah.
It's just God. Just because it's God.
Just God.
It's just God.
There's a reason. It's just God. The big G.
It spells his name with the capital G.
Are you Schoolhouse Rocking us now, Mike?
That was a little 9 Inch Nails.
Oh man, but
I do like the last line is like one of the ladies wants to burn the corn.
Yeah, well, it's the pregnant woman of the kid who was just sacrificed.
Yeah. How old do you think she was?
I mean, she's a teenager either way. So,
so did you guys wonder like how they actually like they have to make babies and stuff? So who's like delivering them and who's taking care of them?
Oh, once you start looking at that, it like they even make a reference to like even the fact of like how come nobody like no sheriff or power company there are a lot of questions on like how come nobody's.
There's a lot of holes in the story. You can pull one thread, the whole thing kind of falls apart.
I do agree with the power company one. If you're not producing power, how are you getting electricity? It wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna shut up.
But it is true when you start looking at the doctor stuff. It's like, how do they like figure all that out?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about the story.
God.
Yeah, God, they just rub corn. Maybe that's where all the corn goes.
They rub corn. They rub corn all over their bodies.
Corn oil.
Corn oil. I want like them to produce all the corn, like be kind of like a weird like Texas Chainsaw Massacre where everyone loves the chicken the guy makes. I want them like everyone to be like, this is the best corn in town.
Like KFC.
Like Hannibal's cooking.
Oh,
yeah. Like KFC.
Like getting invited over at Hannibal Lecter's house for a nice 3-course meal.
It's like some big corn conglomerate.
That's a good show, Rich.
Oh, it's
Do
a
you
great
think
show.
maybe that's where all the corn is coming from? They're not having people babies; they're having corn babies.
Maybe.
I read that story.
Like little Jonathan Davises running around.
They all have dreadlocks.
One of them comes out as Fieldy.
I like when he screams.
When he makes those nonsense words or he sings nursery rhymes.
Just the words that made me cry when I was younger.
Angsty teenage Pat.
No, I had an older cousin that was big into corn, and I was just like, I didn't know who they were at the time. And
Was he playing Jinko jeans and stuff?
well, all I remember is they played games I wasn't allowed to watch when on PS1 because it was too violent, too bloody. It was a vampire game. I forget what it was about. And
do you guys remember Jinko jeans?
What's that?
They were those jeans that were really big on the feet that people wore in the 90s that were fucking ugly as hell. They're back now.
Mike, how old are you? I'm curious because I feel like you're older than me.
Yeah, I'm 41.
Okay, well, I mean, it's not like a huge difference. I'm 31, so.
Okay, so yeah, I got a decade on you.
Yeah, so
You're a kid. You're just a kid.
Yeah, I guess it depends who you ask. So you remember the 90s better than we would.
Nope, sure don't.
Yeah, the 90s is like a blur, man. I don't know, I remember the 90s pretty well. Like, I have fond memories of listening to a Nine Inch Nails cassette tape I stole from my friend's brother. A Green Day cassette tape I stole from my friend's brother.
Oh man, cassette
tapes. Making mixtapes off radio songs.
Oh, mixtapes. Hey, do you like Phil Collins?
Yes.
I'll make you a mixtape.
No, like I remember all that shit. I remember dial-up internet. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was rough. What about
someone called you? Your internet connection got cut off.
Yeah, I remember getting our internet installed first time ever connecting, like back in 94, 95. Yep. All those America Online discs that kept getting mailed in like every week.
Or what about you had to stay off the phone, or at least with us, you had to stay off the phone if you were online because you shared the same way to communicate.
Oh, yeah, that was always a big problem. Like, Mom, hang up the phone. I'm online.
I had that same problem, too.
Good times.
I have fond memories of the 90s.
I remember when Star Trek Generations, like we had just gotten the internet, and they put the trailer online, and it took like 6 hours to download, and someone picked up the phone in the middle of it. Like, no, I'm downloading this. Don't touch the phone.
I remember when Napster was a thing.
Oh, yeah, I remember Napster.
Oh, yeah.
Downloading songs off Napster and someone pick up the phone and cut off the download.
And then Metallica sued everyone.
Yeah.
Or
typing in, being in 5th grade and typing in a website URL, getting porn. I remember that.
Yeah.
I had this neighbor that was a close friend of mine growing up, and he used to have, I don't know how he did it, but he used to have burned movies. And before Star Wars Episode 1 came out in theaters, he's like, I got it on the CD player. You want to watch it? I'm like, fuck yeah. That was great.
I remember
the 90s. So before we finish, what do you guys give the 90s out of 5?
I'm still alive, so I give it a 5.
Yeah.
I'm still alive, so I give it a 1.
Plus N64 for me, that's like 6 for me. I love that.
GoldenEye, baby.
Yeah.
Man, I remember having to save up for that. Okay.
What about you, Rich and Matt?
2.5.
Oh man, you give.
I'm still alive, so it's not that great.
Yeah.
All right, I don't think I should be here anymore. You guys are bringing my mood down.
90s were great. What are you talking about?
I'm going to go.
I give the 90s a solid 4.
Try to work up the nerve to kill myself, but yeah.
We got a president who got a blowjob in office. We got some good music. We got some PlayStation. It was a good time.
Yeah. Remember when getting a blowjob as a president was enough to get you crucified?
Yeah,
I remember that very well.
That's true. The standards have certainly gone below hell.
just a bit.
So now you just grab by the pussy and everything's okay.
Yeah. It's almost like we don't have standards anymore.
Guys, remember standards? I miss those.
Yeah, those were good days, having standards.
Well,
having standards for the people you give nuclear arming codes to. It's crazy times.
Those are the good old days.
Or what about the fact that he's bragging about passing an Alzheimer's test? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, I don't want to. That made me really angry, especially all the jokes that people were making about like Alzheimer's and dementia after that. That was
person, man, woman, camera, TV. I still got it, baby. I still got it.
No, I wasn't gonna make fun of anyone with it. That'd be fucked up. I'm just saying, like the
my brain is good.
Yeah, it's just so fucking. The whole thing's fucked.
I like that he can't even remember the name of the test. But the best self-own of that was he's like, my doctors were really surprised I passed. Like,
oh boy! So Pat, thank you for joining us on this wonderful mess of an episode.
Thanks for having me.
Where can our listeners get in touch with you?
I am on Twitter at PR McDonough. That's spelled McDonough. You can also find my reviews sometimes on Reviewshead, and my podcast is Dead Headspace. Don't look me up on Facebook. I won't add you unless I'm friends with you already or your fellow writer. That is for personal use only, so please fuck off.
Aggressive much?
I don't know if I have any. I don't think anyone's gonna give a shit what I say. So
yeah, that was a little aggressive there.
Hey, what do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
Listeners get in touch with you at
who? Who are you asking?
Mike.
Me?
Yeah, you.
They can find me on the Twitter at MikeH5856. You can hit up my website at michaelpatrickhicks.com.
And Matt, what about you?
Cornfan69.
Is it okay?
That's not real. Is it?
That would be pretty awesome.
I got to see if that's an actual Twitter account. Hold on.
Cornfan. How do you spell that? K or C?
Well, it depends on what you don't find. I'm the opposite. We're going to go with K.
Guys, was I not aggressive enough with my my answer?
We're fine.
Okay, so the username Cornfan69 is available, but somebody doesn't have it as their profile name. Well, they just joined in July 2020. They have 0 followers and are following 14 people.
Who are they following? Anyone good?
No, it's nobody we know.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of bots. I'm on Twitter, BrandM1122.
And you can follow me at Rudy53088. And make sure to follow Staring Into the Abyss at Into Staring. Make sure to rate and review us on iTunes to help us on the algorithm so we don't get lost in the abyss. But this is Richard Gerlach saying keep staring.
Hello, this
Is anybody out there? Anybody? This is Jim Cobb. If you are hearing this, the worst has happened. I've recorded a podcast at the end of the world and will broadcast it on channel PEN every Friday. It's all about the apocalypse, books, movies, TV, how much food and water will you need in your bunker, all that kind of stuff.
Excuse me, sir. You're going to have to keep the noise down. You're in a library, and you're scaring the kids. The world hasn't ended yet.
Sorry, ma'am.
Shh. You're in the library at the end of the world with host Jim Cobb.
Fridays, exclusively on Project Entertainment Network.
This has been a presentation of the Project Entertainment Network.